We welcome you to another live edition of the Sports Box, brought to you by our friends at CrowdPlay. Download the free CrowdPlay app today and use the box at sign up for 10 points. And here we go.
Well, good morning, fans, and welcome to what you've all wished for. This is opening day on the Sports Box. I am Hamilton Mike Galletta, along with my compadres, Brian the Ranger Attard, above me Tony Quigley, and Brandon Gazzara. We will go over all this week's games for you with a lot of our opinions and predictions. Should be a fun day. Just guys looking forward to some football. It's been a while. You know, the NFL started off on Thursday. We got a good game with the Chiefs and Texans, so hopefully this week will be action-packed as well. Of course, before we get to everything, Brian will give you a little bit of a rundown.
Guys, welcome to the show today. It is week one. Football is back. We appreciate you watching Pregame with us today, brought to you by our friends over at CrowdPlay. Check out the free app, Apple App Store, Google Play. Win cash and prizes. It is totally free to play, so definitely check that out. And also Dave Birnbaum, Remax Community. If you're in South Jersey looking to buy, sell, or rent, give Dave a call. His information is on the Sports Box page.
Absolutely. Man, plethora of game today, guys. Where do you want to start?
Well, I think we should probably think back to the opener on Thursday night, where the Kansas City Chiefs reminded us that they're a very good offensive team, as they pretty much dismantled the Houston Texans. I thought it was actually a little bit – I think the score makes it seem closer than it was. I think the Chiefs pretty much took care of business. I don't think the outcome was really ever in question, Tony.
Well, if you had the under, it was, because a late field goal with 30 seconds left kind of screwed that if you have the under on that game. But sure, he didn't hit it there. So
it could have been a lot uglier if DeMarcus Robinson knew how to catch too, because he dropped 2 touchdowns.
Very true.
It's really ugly.
Jeez. Actually, you know what? I thought that game was interesting because, they were down 17 at one point, Texans, and they were still running the ball. I know you got to establish the run, but I thought they would start throwing the ball a little bit more down 17.
I mean, did you see Fuller drop the passes? Brandon Cooks, they don't have a number one. Their passing game, I think they really overestimated the complementary receivers. Because they were ineffective. I mean, if you're not getting open against the Kansas City Chiefs secondary, and in obvious passing downs a lot of times too. But, I was surprised about David Johnson looking good, though. He actually looked pretty good. 2016 David Johnson.
Well, I mean, didn't they look like they could use a number one receiver during that game? I mean, I don't want to like go with the obvious here, but okay, yeah, David Johnson, that's fine. Like, running backs are running back. You can go get somebody. I don't really care about that. But, yeah, Fuller had a nice game. Cooks, you couldn't even see him. I think he might have still been concussed. But, like, that team, just offensively, I don't know where they're going to go. And I'm not a receiver guy, but, I mean, it's pretty abundantly clear. Deshaun Watson's got no help at this point. Like, whatever they're going to do this year is going to be on his shoulders. And remember, guys, we said in the preview, this could be easily a 1-5 start. And I think that it looks that to me right now, Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the difference between these two teams in particular. The Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year, and what do they do in the first round? They go get a running back to add on to that potent offense. They bring back Sammy Watkins. They bring back DeMarcus Robinson. They have Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and then you add Clyde Edwards-Helaire. What do the Texans do? They get rid of Deshaun Watson's best offensive weapon. I mean, to me, and that signals to me where the Texans are and where the Chiefs are. The Texans have no shot of winning in the AFC, and the Chiefs are one of, if not the best teams in the AFC. That's the difference.
Will Fuller dropped an easy pass early in that game, and that kind of just opened my eyes. It wasn't really an easy pass. It was a back shoulder throw Watson put there, but he put it in the right spot, and Fuller didn't make the catch. That's when I kind of opened my eyes and said, you know what? Hopkins is really going to kill them, because if they can't make these catches that obviously we don't expect them to be as good as Hopkins, but they do have to go out there and make plays. If they're not helping him make plays, I mean, what do they just give all that money to Watson for? They should fucking trade him, dumpster fire something.
Yeah, Tony, I agree with you 100%. I think also too they signed Watson to kind of keep him there, because this team is on a downward spiral, and if they have a bad year that me and Brian had talked about in our show a while ago, or all of us had talked about a while ago, I mean, Deshaun Watson, why wouldn't he want to get out of there? So now you give him the money, you lock him up for long term, and now you got to worry about other stuff. But like you guys said, the wide receiver position is a big need right now, and it's showing.
Where was Randall Cobb? He didn't show up. I know
he hasn't shown up for 3 seasons. It's not Randall Cobb with Aaron Rodgers anymore. I mean, he'll have a couple decent games or anything, but he's a slot receiver. He is what he is.
If you're expecting a lot from Randall Cobb, you got problems. I mean, how much is he going to give you this entire year?
He didn't catch a pass. I think that's noteworthy.
Again, and they've had offensive line problems forever. I mean, listen, the Chiefs defense is not like the 85 Bears here, and they still sacked Watson 4 times in the game. So it's a lot of the same old story there, but we spent a lot of time talking about the team that lost. We should really be talking about the team that won, because it sure looks like they've got another dimension of their offense this year that wasn't there last year in Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who you can discuss and talk about, hey, he couldn't get in from the goal line. I mean, okay, you want to nitpick the rookie's first game, that's fine, but 25 for $138 and a touchdown. At the end of the day, I mean, I don't think you can be you can't ask for a lot more to start a career than that, in my opinion.
Kansas City was a good running team last year, though. Let's not forget that. The Super Bowl MVP, who should have been Damian Williams, showed it in the last year. When he was healthy, they were effective. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, though, I mean, he definitely did look good. The one thing did surprise me is he had 0 catches, and that's something that most of us didn't expect. We expected more of like a Westbrook kind of style instead of 20, grinding out 28 carries.
It was only 2 targets, though, Tony. It wasn't like they weren't really like looking for him.
Right.
Yeah.
Go, Brian.
It's just amazing. I mean, Andy Reid, he has all these toys, and if you just watch their play design, it's unbelievable. Him and Kyle Shanahan, who met off in the Super Bowl, the way that they design plays, especially in the run game and in the short passing game, it's unbelievable. It's so hard to stop, and he always adds a wrinkle. And Andy Reid, who's great with the play designing, and you have Patrick Mahomes, and you have all these weapons too. It's really tough to stop.
Yeah, and Kansas City known as the aerial attack because Mahomes makes things happen, and now you have another level with. I mean, like Tony said, they ran the ball good last year, and they just plug another guy in who looks like he's the real deal again. So, I mean, Kansas City looks very good in the AFC again. We will see.
Another solid game for Kelce. The ball got spread around very well. Me personally, if I'm a fantasy guy, I'm trying to sell very high on Sammy Watkins. This is not going to be a weekly thing, in my opinion. So, I mean, he's the clear, at best, third passing option.
Yeah,
behind Kelce and Hill. I mean, and Hill had a very quiet first half, but they have 5 for 46 and a touchdown. So listen, it's ho hum. I mean, this is what the Chiefs are, and I don't think they're off the step.
I don't think anything about ho hum in that offense, man. They light it up. That's not.
No, I mean, this is what we expect. This is they are what they are, and they're going to be very good again. I don't think there's any kind of concern there. I mean, there's no Super Bowl hangover with this team. They're loaded as they ever have been. When I say the thing about Edwards-Helaire is he's a more talented guy coming in than a guy like Williams was. So it just you add that dimension when you can take a first round running back because you have no really other glaring needs. I'm okay with that. I normally am not, but like, what did they really need?
Plus they, at the time they didn't know that the tackle, I forget his name, their starting tackle opted out too, so they didn't know that. But
yeah,
I mean, like Brian, like when Brian was talking a little bit about their play scheme and everything like that, they have the luxury of having a deep threat like Hill. They have somebody that dominates the middle in Kelsey. They have Sammy Watkins, who's a obviously a former first round pick wide receiver. He'll give you a good game here too. Then they have they bring in the running back now. I mean, the way they attack you at every different level. They're just not a power running team. They're just not a deep ball team. They have everything underneath it, and they have the $500 million man pulling the trigger. It's a fun car to drive if you're the offensive coordinator. I know Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid get a lot of love there, but man, it's the fun toys to play with.
Yeah, it's funny that how one guy left New England and now Kansas City could be the favorite landing place for all these guys. Before it was New England to go there and just win. Now it could be Kansas City. They got so many weapons. I mean, it's just a fun atmosphere right now, which is great.
Everybody likes to be a part of a winner.
Absolutely.
You build that culture.
Yep.
And from an attendance standpoint, I thought it looked like a regular Chargers game. Had about 17,000 people there, spread out.
Sure. Look, we've actually filled the arena at the Chargers game because that stadium only holds a certain amount of people. I think a small amount. So,
the Buffalo mob is with us.
It's Richard Katzek from New York, up in Buffalo, big Bills guy.
Real quick about before you change course, Brian, I want to say something about the Deshaun Watson contract. Now, you mentioned a little bit on our season preview, but seeing that game last night, that contract is just a business move. It's not to make them better as a football team. This is for them to have a franchise quarterback, sell jerseys, have the allure of being a viable football team. And it's obvious that they're not, and this is just a business move. Hey, they're going to lock up Watson. He's going to be their face for the next 5 years. They're not going to win any football games, but they're going to make some money. So, that screams to me after watching that first game.
Yeah, like I said, we went through the schedule, and they were a division winner last year, and they only lost their receiver. I mean, it's not like you're talking about, problems on your defense or again, I think they are due for a huge step back. And I don't.
Where was JJ Watt?
Well, he didn't. Yeah. What I mean is it's basically the same team.
No, yeah. Yeah.
So it wasn't you lose Hopkins, and I get that, but it's essentially, in the trenches, it's the same team, and you still don't look very good.
If they could get rid of Bill O'Brien and get a competent GM, probably one of the most things that they should probably do is trade Watson to a contender for another haul and go true, rebuild with the first round picks that they got.
We'll get in there, Richard. We'll go through the games in a little bit. We'll be getting there.
Yep.
I'll
just say real quick, Tony, to your point about the Deshaun Watson thing. Yeah, I mean, I think it was kind of a move like Wentz thing to get a guy to lock him up. So when he comes to the end of his agreement, you're saving money. You're locking a guy up that's your franchise guy, but you're also saving a little bit of money down the road because at the end of Watson's contract, who knows, he could be wanting more than you signed him in an extension for. So that's smart.
Yeah. That reminds me of the running back contracts too. I know this is a sore thumb, and for a lot of things. But I don't know if you want to jump into that, Brian. But
I was going to say with Bill O'Brien, he's a bad coach and a worse GM. So
yeah, but you see those contracts. Yeah, in a couple of years, Watson's contract's not going to look bad. No. Now with these running backs getting paid, I mean, contracts like Ezekiel Elliott and these guys that we're kind of raise our eyebrows like, wow, how you invest so much. Now it seems like the more teams that are investing money in running backs, I think Elliott's now third in per year now instead of it seems like it's a viable option. And Cook and Kamara and these running backs are getting paid.
Well, that's the thing, But they're 4-year deals, though. That's Zeke's was longer than that. But you're starting to see them keep it to a tight window, which I kind of understand because again they fall off a cliff at a certain age. Brandon, you and I talk a lot about you don't pay running backs, but you're kind of seeing that. I didn't know if they were going to pay Dalvin Cook because they've actually had pretty good success with Madison. Mixon got a deal, but you look at the guys that are coming up too. Aaron Jones is going to be due for a deal in Green Bay, so you're going to see a little more of this.
Chris Carson.
Yeah, but I still think, It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. I mean, with potentially a flat cap for a couple of years, I don't know that. I mean, from New Orleans, they should be paying their quarterback a lot less in the future. I don't know about Minnesota. They just don't have to pay Diggs, so that's positive. I don't know. I don't know that Cook was that what Madison could have given in that spot was worth the money to pay Dalvin Cook. Kamara to New Orleans, I think, is more a part of that offense, a bigger part of that offense. And Cook's very, very good. I'm not saying anything negative about him, but you've gotten the production from Madison.
You don't think Dalvin Cook is in that tier of running backs as same as Alvin Kamara? I mean, because
I think Kamara does more I think Kamara's dual threat ability, I think, is more useful to how Sean Payton runs his offense. Again, I think Dalvin Cook's fantastic as a running back. What I'm saying is there hasn't been a drop-off when you put Madison in.
But what they do with their individual offenses, I mean, I think Dalvin Cook is a clear step above Madison, but, they have been a little bit more successful. Kamara didn't have a great year last year, which is a little surprising. Cook did. And, what both of them run completely different styles of offense and what they're called on to do. And I think their fit for both styles is pretty much on par. And I think Dalvin Cook at $63 million is a lot better than Kamara at $75 million. That's for sure.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%.
I agree too. Yeah. Go ahead.
Alvin Kamara is not an every down back. I mean, Latavius Murray is getting a lot of those early down carries, and you see Kamara, and he's the pass catching back, and he can do it all, but he's not an in between the tackles 20 to 25 carry a game guy. And Dalvin Cook is that guy. And looking at these numbers, I would rather pay Dalvin Cook the 5 for 63 than Kamara. And now I know in New Orleans you're not going to be paying Breeze, but it's a one and done thing in New Orleans anyway. So I mean, how valuable is Alvin Kamara going to be? I don't know. Dalvin Cook, I'd rather pay him that money with the quarterback locked up long term.
Yeah, so I just pulled up the average running backs per year right now. You have McCaffrey at $16 million. You have Kamara second, $15 million. With Ezekiel Elliott, $15 million. Le'Veon Bell is just raping New York Jets.
Oh yeah, wouldn't you go there too, Quigley? They're going to give you all that money. Why wouldn't you go there?
It's such a bad deal.
Then you have Dalvin Cook after David Johnson at 12.5, Derrick Henry at 12.5, and Mixon at 12. I mean, right now it seems like Dalvin Cook's a little bit better deal than Mixon. I mean,
I think Dalvin Cook can carry the load a little bit more. Although he got hurt last year, I think Dalvin Cook is that guy you're looking for in the backfield. Although Alvin Kamara is very good as well, I think you saw a really difference from when he had Ingram there. Switching it up a little bit to when he's carrying load all by himself. Not that that's a bad thing. I just think Cook's a little bit better in that aspect of carrying the ball more. So
I think it goes to team circumstance too. Yep. I think Cook and Kamara are on teams that expect to compete. I mean, Saints obviously have a little bit better forehead, a little bit higher expectations to make it farther. The Super Bowl aspirations. I don't know if Minnesota's aspirations are actually legitimate, but they're still a competitive team. But like a team like the Jets paying that money and Houston paying that money to Johnson, that's really going to bite them in the ass.
Speaking of Minnesota, is Carson or Cousins up this year, or do he have one more year?
They just re-upped.
That's right. He re-upped them. That's right.
I think they're an extra 3, right? I think he got another 3 years added onto that deal.
I forgot about that.
And they switched their offense to a complete power running game. I mean, they're doing a lot of play action last year and everything like that. And that, that's going to help them out a lot. And they're going to rely on Cook and they're rely on Madison. And, I don't think anybody who signed any of these running backs are with the expectation that there's not going to be injuries involved either. You have to.
Any of these teams that have signed running backs at big money, do any of them have a Super Bowl? Probably outside New Orleans. Do any of them have a Super Bowl chance? And I think the only chance that New Orleans has is this year with Breeze. Outside of this 1 year with Breeze, do any of the other teams have a shot?
How about the Dallas Cowboys?
Mm-hmm.
How about the Tennessee Titans? Which long shot, but they still.
I think the Tennessee Titans. They had to sign Henry because he's the main focal point of that offense. Like you said, Tony, they run. Right. That's a team that runs the ball heavy.
But they didn't win playoff games last year, so you're not going to go into the season a team who's won playoff games last year saying that they don't have a shot at trying to make it to the Super Bowl. So I mean, they're kind of in the same part as maybe like Minnesota.
Well, and they're a run-heavy team because their wide receiving core, they're okay, but I mean, they're not something that really scares you if you go into a game. It's really the run-heavy offense that they have.
Yeah, so I mean, there is, but like we said when McCaffrey signed his original deal, a lot like Watson is, hey, they have a ton of money down in Carolina. Yeah. Sign McCaffrey, sell the jerseys, make some excitement, and go from there. I mean, you have to stay. It's still a viable market. I mean, not every team's has like these passionate fan bases like Philadelphia, Dallas that'll watch the team and buy merchandise. So you need guys like McCaffrey and them to kind of shoulder that load. Yeah, it's $1 trillion business.
Oh yeah,
that's why this whole COVID it might not think like no, it's happening. If we have college kids playing in certain areas, it's definitely happening.
Listen, my opinion on the COVID thing, they could have 100, 200 guys get COVID. They're pushing forward. Hey, the only way they stop the season if they don't have enough to put rosters together.
Nobody tested positive. There were no positive tests on Saturday. None.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying they're moving this ahead regardless of what happens, I think, and they're going to do the best they can with as long as they have teams out there and they have rosters to put guys together, enough players, they're going to keep going. They're going to. I
have as much confidence in the COVID testing of the NFL right now than I have as Major League Baseball testing steroids in the 90s. I mean, it's Tom Brady had tested positive for COVID. Okay, well he's fine. He feels good. He's going out and playing. If he's asymptomatic, they're playing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we'll start to delve into the week 1 games because we are about an hour and 40 minutes to kick off, and we'll start in Detroit, NFC North battle. Chicago Bears go into Detroit to face the Lions, who are a 2.5-point favorite. The over-under is 42.5. The word today is that Jeff Okudah will not make his debut. He's out for the game. Kenny Galladay's not going to play, so Detroit's down two guys there. David Montgomery, who had gotten hurt in training camp, is apparently going to play today. But I think Mitch Trubisky's starting, so I don't really like that.
That's what I was about to say. That's what I was about to say, Brian. It's more about the person who is playing on the Bears than who's not playing for Detroit. And you just said Galladay is playing?
He's not.
No, I didn't think so. Yeah,
he's not.
Yeah.
I think
that over-under should be about 30 because this is going to be a low-scoring snooze fest. I mean, Chicago can shut a team down, but offensively, they're probably not going to be able to move the ball as well. So,
it's not like Detroit's defense is anything special, and the guy that they brought in to replace Darius Slay, the 3rd overall pick, he's out, and the number 1 receiver is gone. I think this is a low-scoring affair as well.
Well, Bears defense is still very good, but a name that kind of stands out to me is Anthony Miller. I'm actually starting today in a league because he's had very good games in his career against Detroit, and the secondary was piss poor last year with Darius Slay. It was very, very bad. So the fact is, he's gone, and his replacement's gone. I'm not sure who's going to stop anybody. The only person who's going to stop the Bears' offense is Mitch Trubisky. So, we talk about it being low scoring. I don't know if he can just not suck for a little bit, which I know is asking a lot. I don't know why the Bears aren't favorite here. I really don't. Given the fact that Swift's not playing, right? So the running game is going to be a mixture of Kerryon Johnson and maybe Adrian Peterson. Okay. I don't know. Like, I mean, the Lions were just a dumpster fire defensively. Even though Mitch is terrible, guys should get open.
Well, Mitch can make some plays with his legs every now and then. And with Tariq Cohen and David Montgomery supposed to get the full load, whatever that means, coming out, they might have a couple more playmakers available to them than Detroit. So I think it's going to be an ugly game. Game screams like 13-10, first touchdown wins kind of deal. So we will see.
What's kind of scary is the over-under is 46, which I don't know how it's that high. Like you guys said, this should be 42.5. I'm sorry. Even that's still for this game. It's going to be a low-scoring game. I don't see a lot of points in this game at all, unless the defenses really break down. But I don't.
Well, the over-under I think might be a part of what a lot of people are saying early on is that defense and the hitting might not be up to speed because they haven't been doing any of that. So, I didn't see it being rusty Thursday night, but that might actually come into play a little bit in the numbers.
Yeah, and I know Mack and Robert Quinn, who was a free agent addition, they've both been banged up as of late in camp. But I like, Brian, you mentioned Anthony Miller. I like Allen Robinson against Detroit. He averaged 17 fantasy points against the Lions last year. I like him with no Okuda, no Darius Slay to worry about. He's going to be getting, second corners. I like Robinson for a big day, even with Mitch. He put those numbers up last year with Mitch and Chase Daniel. So it's not like he can't be successful with a bad quarterback. I like Allen Robinson.
What do you think of TJ Hawkinson today? He's a guy who was drafted very high a year ago. He didn't really have that great of a rookie season, but he could be, I don't know, without Galletta. I mean, it can't just be the Marvin Jones show. And Brandon, I'm not really a big Marvin Jones guy, but I think that this could be a game where Hawkinson kind of, not a coming out party, but he should have a little bit more of a featured role, given the fact that you're down a weapon on the outside and your running game isn't really what you want it to be.
He was big week 1 last year. I mean, if that's relevant at all, he came out in week 1 last year, had a huge debut. So, I mean, with Matthew Stafford back and no Kenny Galladay, I think you can expect something from TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah, he was banged up a lot last year too. I think when a rookie is banged up, they kind of lose a bigger step than normal. I mean, he is a talented receiver. If nothing else. I think he was the first tight end pick last year.
Yeah.
And
one or two from the same college, so in the first round, which is crazy.
Him and Fant from Iowa.
Yeah.
I mean, they're definitely, they definitely have a lot invested in him. I expect him to actually have a pretty decent season overall. I think losing Galladay, I don't know if he actually picks up slack from that, because I think Galladay gives that ability to stretch the field a little bit. But red zone targets, he should be the man.
Yeah, in the way of catching, Tony, I agree. I had him last year in fantasy, and he was good for probably 5 or 6 catches a game for a little while until he got hurt, and he went out for most of the year and came back a little bit, and he wasn't the same. But yeah, no, if he can stay healthy, he's definitely going to be a good safety valve for Stafford, that he can get some stuff done. And with Galladay not being there today, he should get a lot of work across that middle, but he's going to have to contend with Khalil Mack, so that's going to be interesting.
Frank Fedora, who recently changed his profile picture to Ezekiel Elliott this morning, says TJ only gets involved if the Lions have the lead. Well,
no, I don't agree that at all. So,
Hawkinson might be used because if you said DeAndre Swift's out, right? Mm-hmm. So their 2 lead backs, Peterson and Kerryon Johnson, are not traditional receiving running backs. So they might actually implement him a lot in the short passing game to try to make up for the lack of receiving out of the backfield.
And I think he's definitely a red zone target too. If they get down close, he's definitely going to be used down there.
Who do you like in this game?
Bears outright.
Yeah, I'll take the Bears with the 2.5.
I'll lay the 2.5 and take Detroit.
I lean Chicago. I mean,
too many injuries.
I know it's a division game. I don't like Detroit. I don't like Chicago either, but I don't like Detroit a little bit. Ryan Leach, think the Lions could pull this game off. I don't believe the Bears are a good period. At least you take the Lions.
You just got to worry about how the Bears are going to score. I mean, that's the problem. They can keep Detroit down, but how are they going to score?
Listen, they have both their running backs now. Montgomery's going to play, and Cohen's going to play. They did add Jimmy Graham. If you like that sort of thing, I think that was just a waste of money.
Cole Kmet too, tight end.
Again, I think they can be okay. Allen Robinson had a really good year last year with no quarterback play. So it can be done.
That's good because he has no quarterback play this year. What's the over-under of plays or quarters for Foles?
That's true. Listen, if it's bad at halftime, you might see
no, I don't think so. He's got to be awful for Foles to come in at halftime.
Nick Foles is a giant upgrade for all of those receivers fantasy-wise.
A giant upgrade where?
For the Bears receiver.
No. Like where? Like in his pants or?
No.
Yeah. The association with Philadelphia fans and Nick Foles' big size is disturbing.
I agree.
We'll go from the AFC North to the NFC North. The Cleveland Browns, who have not won Week 1 since 2004, visit the defending number 1 seed, lost in the playoffs, AFC North Division champion Baltimore Ravens, laying 7.5. Over unders 47.5. I bought into the Browns last year because I'm an asshole. I'm not doing it now. The Ravens, I think, are coming into the season pretty pissed off at last season. That's at least the what you hear. Tony, I know you got Ravens all over your fantasy teams. I'm not sure that wasn't an accident. I'm sure. So I guess you're not bullish on this team.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said in our season preview, I'm I'm a big fan of the Ravens this year overall because, I mean, without the preseason, without training camp, the continuity that they bring back from last year is there. You see it benefit the Chiefs last year. I think Ravens run through the Browns literally. You see Lamar Jackson go off today, have a big game. I see Mark Ingram, maybe, splashing J.K. Dobbins if he gets on the field at all. And other guys too. Like, listen, Marquise Brown, Mark Andrews, and Miles Boykin, who I like too, who was hurt a lot last year. I think they really provide some, a great balance in his offensive, threat. And then defensively, Cleveland's new run-first offense. I don't know if this is the team that they debut it against.
Quick update: Lane Johnson is out today for the Eagles.
Hits just keep on coming.
Well, good thing I'm not playing Miles Sanders. But anyway,
yes.
Anyway, Cleveland's going to try to go to this run-first offense with Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and I'm not sure if the Browns are the guys to do it. So I think the Ravens shut down Cleveland's offense. They can't keep up with Lamar Jackson and that.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I figure we might want to do this.
We have breaking news here on the Sports Box.
I just wanted to use the siren. I know I just said that, but I just wanted to use the siren. Also, Kenny Galladay is officially inactive.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the Eagles game, obviously. We will get to that. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but back to Browns and Ravens, as you were.
No, like I said, the Ravens attack is just going to run through them. It's a 7.5 point line. I mean, you're trying to beg people to take the Browns over under 47.5. I like the under. I think it's probably like a 30 to 14 game or something like that. Right around there. And I don't like betting unders, so I'm not going to bet it. I think people who bet unders hate themselves and are no fun, but probably a smart bet.
It's never safe.
A lot of overs the first week anyway.
The under is never safe. It is never safe.
I'm kind of going the other way, Tony. I kind of like Cleveland this week. I think even though they haven't won since 2004, I think that Baker Mayfield does get a little bit better this year. I don't know if he's going to be obviously the Baker Mayfield they expected, but I think that he can put something together, especially with Baltimore, who I think Lamar Jackson takes a step back this year. I always tell Brian that a second-year quarterback in the league always takes a step back, whether it's a big step or a small step. I think he does take a little bit of a step back. I'm not saying it's going to be horrible, but I don't think that Baltimore comes out of the gate storming like everybody thinks they are. They might stumble this week. I think Cleveland can definitely cover the 7.5. They might not win the game, but I think that definitely is a little bit number for the undersurged Browns. I think they can cover that game.
I like the Ravens to cover and to win. I just think there's too much offensive firepower. I don't trust the Browns until I can see the Browns do it. I don't trust Baker Mayfield at all. Never did. Probably never will. I do think he has a better season than last year because I think there's some more discipline there. I think there's more of a structure with Stefanski over Freddie Kitchens, who was a dumpster fire. But the Ravens just have too much with Lamar Jackson and the running backs, the wide receivers, the tight end. I mean, the Browns have two of everything, but the Ravens have Lamar Jackson. So I like the Ravens and very, very easily.
I've never envisioned Odell Beckham as a number 2 receiver, pardon the pun, but he hasn't really done all that well in Cleveland anyway. Like, I think you give a first-round pick for a guy like that. Like, you really need him to be the elite receiver, and he was in New York. I don't think he's going to be that now in Cleveland. Ever since that boat picture, for the love of God, I don't know what they're doing with all these tight ends. I don't know. I mean, like you said, you have two of everything, but nobody's your lead guy. I know Ryan Leach mentioned people are sleeping on Hunt. He could have a big year. Yeah, I agree, but very rarely do you see two running backs really have a big year on the same offense just by the nature of the opportunities. And plus, if your defense isn't that great, you're not going to run as much. I want to see what they do with Austin Hooper. They kept Njoku for reasons. We really like you, and they drafted a kid. There's way too many tight ends.
It's hard to run the ball when you're behind.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
So, I mean, I do like the improvement that Cleveland made as far as taking the ball out of Mayfield's hands a little bit and dumbing it down for him and all that kind of stuff. But like you were saying, you can't run the ball when you're down 2 touchdowns. It's just you could, but you're not going to win.
No. So I think they also cover. I mean, Mike Evans will work out in about 2 hours. If he's cleared, the Bucks plan is to be cautious with him, which we'll get to that game because I'm sure Mike's moist about that one. But again, keep for your fantasy guys, just kind of keep an eye on that one. Also at 1:00, the Green Bay Packers in a divisional game go to the Minnesota Vikings, who are laying 2.5. Over under is 45. You'll remember that the Packers thought they had no weaknesses, so they drafted a quarterback in the first round. The Vikings traded a receiver to draft a receiver. I don't have a problem with that. And they just paid a lot of money to Dalvin Cook. So, Mike, these games always tend to be weird. I mean, there's years where one team's good, one team's bad, and then the game is just nuts. How are you feeling on this one?
I mean, I like the Packers in this game, even though they're in Minnesota. Minnesota's got something to prove, I think, this year. Dalvin Cook, big contract. Cousins is there for, a little bit now. The departure of Stephon Diggs, I think Diggs is going to hurt them a little bit. But I think it's still going to be a good game. I mean, I like the Packers getting 2.5. I don't know why they're getting 2.5. Aaron Jones is coming into a contract year. I don't know if they're going to sign him or not back. But you still have Devontae Adams. You still have Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks in the league still. I think the Packers still have some firepower. I mean, I still think they can get the job done. Are they going to blow Minnesota away? No, I think it's going to be a real close game. Could come down to the wires. I still like the Packers in this game. Till Minnesota proves me wrong, I got to like the Packers in this game.
I guess I'll jump in.
I think Brand's having some technical difficulty on his end.
Yeah, you know what? This is one of them classic NFC North games. It's not easy to pick, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with Minnesota. I mean, one of the things that we all harp on is that like Brian touched on is Green Bay didn't add any offense to Aaron Rodgers, which we understand that. But if you remember, Green Bay got ran over on defense. So you're not going to tell me there wasn't a player in the back end last year in the draft that couldn't shore up that running game. And what does Minnesota do? They're a power running team. They have Kirk Cousins, Adam Thielen. I mean, they have enough weapons on offense. And they're home. So I'm going to take Minnesota. I'm going to lay to 2.5. I think they just do a little bit more in a tough game. And Packers, some people expect a lot of the Packers. I mean, their defense is might be one of the more underrated units against the passing game. But, let's say they do have trouble stopping the run as we see in last year's playoffs. So I think that's the formula to kind of take them out. And this is a game I'm not going to bet on. I'd kind of stay away picking it. But if I had to take it lean somewhere, I'd take Minnesota.
They've done a nice job. We always just envision Green Bay as this high-powered offensive team because we see Aaron Rodgers, we see talented receivers. We just assume that's the way they're going to go. But they run the ball well. They ran the ball well, very well last year. And their defense is very good. It's just these games are always weird. There's years where Minnesota's not very good. They go into Lambeau, they beat Green Bay. Last year, I think it was last year, Kirk Cousins looked abysmal in the home game against Green Bay. I want to say it was a primetime game too, and Zadarius Smith had a day against that team. So it is a hard game to pick. I'm only going to take the Packers because I'm taking the points. But it really could easily go either way. I'm thinking if it's a close game, if I'm betting, I'm buying the hook. I'll tell you that right. I'm buying to the 3 easily. But it's just these division games are tough to call. And there's a lot of them this week to start. I will go with Green Bay. I will go with the better quarterback. But I don't love it. I don't feel like, I'm very excited about, picking Green Bay. My thought there. AFC South. Phillip Rivers makes his Colts debut, giving 8 points to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are the only team in the NFL today that have home fans in the building, which they're not going to have anyway because nobody cares about the Jaguars.
And rain expected in Jacksonville.
The over-under is 45. Tony, they've had a bit of, let's put it this way, a carousel with the running backs. Cut this guy's injured, now it's somebody else. I don't know.
They're not the Tampa. Yep.
I think the only running back you could depend on in that backfield, and that's probably Chris Thompson. He's the receiving back. And he's the only one that's probably going to be consistent because they expect to be down. Indianapolis should run all over them, literally, physically, up down the field, do whatever they want. Barring a Minshew miracle or a Philip Rivers disaster, this game shouldn't be close. 8 points might be generous because this definitely screams double figures, but we'll see what happens. It's definitely not a game that most people will be watching outside of DJ Chark owners and T.Y. Hilton owners and them guys.
Yeah, I think this game, Tony pegged it right on the head. The -8 looks like, oh yeah, that's a lot of points for Jacksonville, but I think the Colts pull away in this game, even though some teams have a hard time playing in Jacksonville. I mean, this Jacksonville team's bad, and besides Chris Thompson, really, I mean, you Minshew at quarterback. This team's riddled with problems. I think the Colts are still a good team, even though Philip Rivers is there at the first year there with the team. Got a whole different crew with them with T.Y. Hilton and Michael Pittman Jr. And Marlon Mack. I mean, I think this team's still got some fight in them, and their defense is going to be really good. So I think definitely the Colts pull away by double digits in this game.
Yeah, I like the Colts as well. With Phillip Rivers and that offensive line, I think he's a much better player than we saw last year because he'll be protected and have, T.Y. Hilton and Michael Pittman. Paris Campbell is a guy they drafted 2 years ago. He was hurt last year. But Jonathan Taylor, Marlon Mack, I think they run all over him. And I don't think Jacksonville.
Here's the thing about that. Jeff Wakefield Ward, new name to the show. Thanks for watching, sir. Take the Mac prop over 54 yards. They're going to run Mac crazy for the hand to Turner later on. There's all this talk about that they drafted Taylor to spell Mac. And from a fantasy perspective, that's not how Taylor was drafted at all. Taylor was drafted to be the workhorse guy because Mac wasn't overly effective last year. So that's a situation to monitor if you put a high draft pick into Jonathan Taylor because, well, that's not at all what you were buying when you made that pick.
Well, this is going to be a game that there's going to be enough room to feed both backs. I agree with everything that coming out of Indianapolis is saying that they are going to try to focus on Mac, but there's a huge talent difference. If you're following around training camp and what's going on in Indianapolis. Jonathan Taylor, Salem kid, he looks phenomenal. He's the more explosive back. But, this might be start off as a thunder and lightning kind of duo to start. And this is a game that if you own either running back in fantasy, I would definitely be putting in there because I expect them both. I think the prop was, 54 yards?
Yeah.
I think Jonathan Taylor's at 57 yards. I'm comfortable with both of them actually hitting them because, Jonathan Taylor, he's got speed to hit that corner and bust off a long run. So I'd be, Mac and Taylor early, then, Taylor probably finishes out at the end of the season because they have more invested.
So I'll ask you guys this quickly. What do you think of the pairing for Pittman and Hilton in this game? Do you think it's going to be a run-heavy game where they're just going to run, or are they going to actually throw the ball a little bit? I know it's going to rain down there, but still.
I like Jack Doyle a little bit. I mean, we haven't mentioned him. He's the tight end there. And when he had Andrew Luck a couple of years ago, he was very effective, certainly in the red zone. And I think with Phillip Rivers, you saw him with Hunter Henry. When Hunter Henry was able to stay healthy, he likes using the tight end. So I think Hilton and Doyle are good options.
Because I have Hilton today in fantasy. That's why I'm asking.
I wasn't really big on Hilton this year anyway. Not that I don't know what Rivers has left. He's better than Brissett. I'm going to say that, right? I don't care what I was not a Jacoby guy. I thought that really hurt them last year. But Jeff Ward's making a really good point here. They were number 2 rushing attempts to Baltimore last year. Their offensive line is the best in football. So use your strength. I mean, he will be protected. So if guys get open, he will have time. Right. I do like Pittman over the long term. I mean, T.Y. still, but I do think
he's a player, but he's not fantasy relevant yet.
Yeah. They're going to run the ball quite a bit today, as well they should. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think Jacksonville has the firepower to hang with them, obviously, as indicated by the 8-point spread, and run the ball, kill clock, get the hell out of there. I mean, that's where I think they're going to be. And I think they win this game. I mean, the problem is backdoor cover, 8's a lot. I remember the Colts going down there, putting up like 3, 6. I mean, it's still a division game. I don't know why.
Weird season.
Yeah, I'll take the points with Jacksonville because it's a lot of points, but I do think the Colts win this game. I'm not really concerned about Jacksonville winning, but I think 8's a lot. As the game goes on, you get garbage time at the end, and Minshew's going to throw the ball a lot. I mean, if you really think about it, they're going to throw the ball probably more than most teams, more than really many teams. And the under also, I do like Jeff too, because what else are they going to do?
Yeah, this has a lot. I think the Colts similar to Baltimore as far as they're going to beat up on them. Should 28 to 35 points, but Jacksonville, I can't see putting it back. Is anybody on Jacksonville fantasy relevant, do you think? We talked about Chris Thompson earlier, but I really don't have anybody in my lineup. I mean, Minshew's going to, listen, they had a great defensive line last year, and they upgraded with DeForest Buckner this year. Minshew Mania is going to be running for his life. And
How about DJ?
That'll just break down everything, and they don't have a fantasy relevant tight end, or somebody's going to put up some numbers there, but it's not anybody you want to put in your lineup.
How about DJ? How about DJ Chark, who I know last year had 1,000 yards, and
Chark's
they're going to be down.
I'd like to see what Chanot does, only because I think that they've kind of soured on D.D. Westbrook, so I think that there's some opening there to get some targets.
Chris Conley became sort of a guy last year for Minshew over Westbrook, so I think he'd be their second, to me, most relevant receiver.
Yeah.
This Frank game means more to the Colts than the Jags. I'll tell you what, Jags need to lose it. The Jags need to win about one game this year. They can go get themselves a nice quarterback.
That's the other thing too. You see what kind of culture that they're actually coming into this game with attitude. That Jacksonville comes into this game. Are they trusting the process to still a Sixers term as far as getting killed? But this game might be early and done real quick.
Yeah.
Tony, you mentioned unders and not betting unders, but I think this is an under that will be in play here.
Life's too short to bet unders.
Oh, I'm not going to bet it, but I'm just saying.
No, I know.
Exactly. I think this is an under that would be in play.
If it's going to rain there most of the day, yeah, I agree.
I was Jags with the points. Where did everybody else fall?
I'm Colts big.
I'm taking Colts. Yeah, I'm taking Colts as well.
I'm actually going to bet the line up and lay 13.5 for the Colts.
There you go. All right.
Nice.
I like the Colts by about 10 to 12 points, like 24 to 14 type thing, 13.
Yeah.
Again, a late field goal, all of a sudden that 24-14 is 24-17, and you don't cover 8 points. That's what I'm saying. It's a lot of points to lay with some garbage time potentially in this game, which I do believe is going to happen. The debut of the Las Vegas Raiders will be in Carolina today. They are giving 3 points to the Carolina Panthers, who have a lot of faces that are not there from last year, including their quarterback, linebacker, receiver, coach. So there's a lot of change going on.
And 19 receivers. So.
Yeah. So we assume Derek Carr has a tenuous hold on the starting position at quarterback because we know that he's not really Gruden's favorite guy. Weird year for the Raiders. I think the Panthers are another team that the expectations aren't there. This is, again, Matt Rule's his head coaching debut. It's going to be a lot of McCaffrey. Don't need us to tell you that. But Mike, your thoughts on this one?
I actually like the Panthers in this game. I think the Raiders coming across country is one factor, but I'm Derek Carr. I like Derek Carr as a guy, and I think Jacobs is going to get a lot of ball today. But you know what? I think Teddy Bridgewater is still a decent quarterback. Is he going to light it up? Probably not. But I think they're going to be able to move the ball, like you said. McCaffrey. Everybody knows every game, and he's coming after them. And McCaffrey still gets the job done. I think you're going to see a ton of McCaffrey today. I think the Panthers squeak one out today. They're at home. I mean, I'll take the points. I think it's going to be a close game.
Yeah, I like the Panthers. Certainly +3. I like Carolina. I actually think they could win outright. And Teddy Bridgewater, now, he doesn't have the strongest arm. He's 16-5 as a starter. So, I mean, it's not like Teddy Bridgewater is a bum. I like the Panthers with the new head coach, Matt Rule, who just seems to win everywhere it goes. Now, he's transferring from the college game, so it's going to be a little bit different. But I don't like the Raiders really at all defensively. And I like what Carolina has offensively in terms of weapons for Teddy Bridgewater.
Well, if you have DJ Moore today, I think he's definitely it could be a flex guy today to start because I think he's going to get some work today.
Bridgewater's done well when he's had support around him. So he definitely has a running game. Has a couple guys to throw to. I don't know what to make of the Raiders again. It's just it's this constant I equate them a little bit to the Jets. It's this constant building but never getting anywhere. It's like a bridge to nowhere.
Gruden stinks.
Well, you have some deep-seated. I don't know what you have from your Buckdom, but
Sorry. Stinks.
Listen. I mean, there's. We'll see what Ruggs does. Quigley, I know that you think he's going to be one of the better rookie receivers just based on opportunities he's going to have as probably the number one there. I'm big on Josh Jacobs this year. If they're going to do anything this year, Josh Jacobs needs to be a top 5 running back. He needs to get he needs to get carries. He needs to get some stuff out of
He will. He will.
60 catches or 60 whatever, but that's where it's going to be. They're not going to roll over anybody defensively. So I don't know. I think it might even be an over on the points. That's like my inclination on that, but I'll take Carolina with the +3 at home. It might be even a push at that point. Maybe I'll take the 3.5. But if anything, I feel it might be more of a high scoring game.
Yeah, I like Darren Waller too against that Carolina defense, who was terrible against tight ends last year. And we know Derek Carr loves throwing to the tight ends. I like Darren Waller a lot this week.
Real quick, we talked about the Jags a couple seconds ago. D.D. Westbrook is out today, so Conley and Chark, if you guys want to do that. I'm agree with this. This isn't a game I would not touch the line on because I think it comes back to mentality, and I think it depends on like what team really is trying to win this game. As a law, I stay away from the 1 o'clock games. I think somebody a cross country 1 o'clock games to Tour mentioned that earlier. That's always been an old adage. You kind of stay with that. So what kind of mentality is the Raiders coming in? I mean, Bridgewater's going to be going out there trying to look good in his debut. This game has over written all over it. The point total is high. A lot of offensive weapons. I think Ruggs has at least one big catch. I think Waller gets underneath there. Jacobs pounds them. But then on the other side too, you have the offense. With our boy Run CMC. I mean, if I had to pick, I'd definitely take the over, but this is like watching a chick fight. It's going to be an entertaining game, but you don't really cheer for the winner.
We mentioned in the preview, I believe on Wednesday, teams that could be tanking for the number 1 pick, and I never even thought of the Oakland Raiders or the Vegas Raiders, but Gruden does not love Derek Carr, and if this thing gets off to a slow start, I think you could see them kind of not trying to lose, but not wanting to win in order to get a Justin Fields or a Trey Lance or one of those top guys. It won't be Lawrence because I don't think they'll be that bad, but I think you could see them in the 5-11 range and trying to get one of those top guys.
Yeah, I can't rule that out. AFC East, the Miami Dolphins go to New England where it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. They're laying 7. Pats -7 hosting Miami over under 41.5. I had said in the NFL preview we did last week Wednesday. Wow, it feels like it was last week. That I don't think there's any quarterback in a league with more to prove than Cam Newton, simply because if he can't do it now, he's not going to get a chance to do it again. And he's going to get the start today against the Dolphins, a Dolphins team that won 5 games last year that we thought was stupid for winning 5 games last year. They ended up getting their 2 anyway, so it didn't really matter. Quickly, if the Pats are supposed to be as bad as people think they are, why are they giving 7 points here?
Because it's the Pats. A lot of times, just like the star on your helmet too, the hat that you're wearing. The lines are often inflated a little bit, and the trust in Bill Belichick. I think that people kind of love that Bill Belichick mentality, and this might be a line too where if you look at where the money is going and how much money is going where, it could be affected. I'm taking the Dolphins in this though. I mean, they're starting Fitzpatrick. They have more offensive weapons as far as the receiver core.
For sure.
N'Keal Harry's out for New England today. So I mean, you have Edelman. I mean,
I believe he was playing. I think
yeah, that was a late.
No, I'm sorry, he is active. He is active. I read that wrong. That was with Philip Dorsett was right above him. But yeah, so Harry is playing. But I mean, he's a second-year receiver. Is he going to be that much of a difference maker? Plus, I'm fading Cam. I mean, Dolphins. I think the Dolphins went into Foxborough last year and beat them, or was it? I know they beat them one time. So I don't know.
It was in Foxborough.
It was in Foxborough. So listen, a Dolphins team that actually might be focused this year to actually play. Instead of that debacle that was in the beginning of the season, not afraid to go up to New England. It's early in the year. You don't have to worry about the weather. Thoughts on James White came in. James White, Cam Newton, Julian Edelman, they're going to have to do some trickery. They're going to have to, generate some kind of offense. And is that New England defense, that doesn't have their leader in Hightower and your boy Van Noy is coming back to New England too. So I'm leading Miami on this one.
Yeah. I'll go, Brandon. Go.
I like New England to win, but I do not like them to cover. I think Miami keeps it close. Now I think New England wins because Cam Newton is playing against Brian Flores, and if you remember, Brian Flores is a disciple of Bill Belichick. What does Bill Belichick struggle against as a defensive coach? Mobile quarterbacks. I think I do like Cam today. Don't like Cam overall, but I think Cam runs effectively today. I like Cam. I like James White fantasy-wise, but I like New England to win by maybe a field goal.
So, Brandon, when you say runs effectively, do you think that Cam, New England is going to use old Cam? He's going to run the ball. He's going to he's going to be a weapon like that, or is it going to be the bubble wrap Cam?
No, I think they're going to have to use him to run. They don't have any weapons. I mean, it's Julian Edelman and it's N'Keal Harry, and until I can see Julian Edelman be effective without Tom Brady, I'm not going to believe that Julian Edelman is going to be very effective, especially with Cam Newton, who's not precision routes, and that's what Edelman runs. He runs those routes, and Brady would hit him quickly and in rhythm, and that's not Cam. So I don't think Edelman's going to be very effective. Now I do like Harry because he's a big body guy, and he's kind of like that Kelvin Benjamin.
Throw it up and get it kind of
type. Yeah, I like him more actually than Edelman, and I like White today. But I think they have to use Cam to run, especially against the Dolphins with Brian Flores.
Well, I'm not. Before you go, Mike, I'm starting White because I think he can play a little bit of that pass catching role that CMC did for Cam. Yep. Right. So I got him in round 10 of a draft, which I thought was really ridiculous value. Where I got
he went very late. He should be a good value. I mean, but every year James White, especially in PPR, he seems like he's a great value.
He's a good catching running back out of the backfield, and I think that's what you're going to have to get with him today. He's going to learn a lot of those, screens and dump outs to him, and Sony Michel's going to get involved, I think, too. But as Brian knows, it's not a big secret that I think Cam Newton stinks, and I think his running ability is far from what he was when he won the MVP a bunch of years ago. So I think New England, like Tony said, is going to struggle today. I mean, I think I like Miami as well in this game. I think Fitzpatrick is the kind of guy who's he could throw the ball around. And listen, Miami's got really no pressure on him. New England's coming into this game is, the Patriots, we can do it without Brady. We still got Belichick and all. Well, I don't think they're going to be the same team. They're not going to be that bad, but I just don't think they're going to be ready for a Miami team who's got nothing to lose and is playing home and finally got the opportunity to knock them off. I think if they don't win this game, which I think they can, they're definitely covering that number. So I'll take Miami any day of the week against them +7.
And I like the over too.
Thoughts on Preston Williams today, who's opposite Devontae Parker. So Parker, who will be getting shouted by Gilmore. Thoughts on Preston Williams today?
I like him for the season. I think he's a really good value playing fantasy. I wouldn't necessarily start him today. Mike, I have a request from you. Ryan Leach wants to hear you say Cam Newton stinks again.
Cam Newton stinks.
He's not great.
Right? Stinks.
If it were me, Brandon, I would wait on Preston. I just want to see how they use him right now. Like I want more confidence. But it's week 1. Like you didn't really draft him to start for you in all likelihood. So,
well, I have Galletta out. My 2 possible replacements, Parker and Williams, and I'm currently going with Williams because Parker's going up against Gilmore.
You're just playing a defense play there. Okay.
And you have to think too. New England's defense lost players in the secondary. I mean, so it's Stephon Gilmore can only cover so many guys. Yeah. And Williams' offense that they're putting out there, I think they're just going to run as many receivers at them. And somebody's going to be open. And Fitzmagic's definitely going to throw the ball. I mean, he'll 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, magic day,
Williams did lead them in targets until he got injured last year over Parker. So that's kind of leaning into my decision to play
the unicorn.
Well, part of Parker's second half was the fact that Williams got hurt.
Yep, absolutely.
That's where a lot of those stats came from
against the Eagles.
Yeah, there you go with the fake punt, with the fake field goal.
Oh my gosh.
The Bills and Jets are up next, but Bills fans are going to have one eye on that game and one eye on this game because their path to an AFC East championship is still through New England. They're the only team they have to worry about. So they want to know what can we expect from the Pats this year? And if they go in there and put up a stinker against the Dolphins, Bills fans are going to get very excited, push through some tables and everything that they do up there. If Pats come out here and play well, little tight buttholes up in Buffalo, because again, as I said in the preview, I felt that the Pats' demise was a little premature because Bill Belichick is still there and he works wonders with it. It doesn't matter who's on his defense. So we will see. But Jets, Bills are laying 6.5, over under 39.5. The Jets are a funny story. I don't know who's playing. I mean, Sam Darnold isn't very good, despite what you think, Brandon. I
like Darnold too.
They got a bunch of new receivers.
Smart man, Quigley.
I mean, basically, it's going to be. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be the problem.
That's her downfall.
That would be the problem.
Brandon, I mean, but sell me here. Listen, I agree with you. I think Darnold gets a second contract. I think they put too much into him for them to walk away. But as currently constituted, Gase has to go. So you're going to get a new head coach in there next year. Like the kid's not really getting a fair shake here. Mims is out. So you're Jamison Crowder, and I don't even know who the second receiver is.
Brashad Perriman.
Perriman.
He'll be against Tre'Davious White. So and if you have him in fantasy and you were thinking of playing him, do not.
He's like, oh, me and Le'Veon Bell like each other. Yeah, well, I mean, actions are worth 1,000 words. It sure doesn't seem like it. Listen, this is a game. Look, Buffalo's gonna jam this team up their ass. I mean, if Buffalo's gonna go anywhere this year, and Kiel Harry was active, I just got that alert. This is a game they need to send very. I'm sorry, what?
I told you that 5 minutes ago.
I know. I got the fantasy alert. They need to send a message to the league that says we are who you think we are. And by doing that, they need to go beat the Jets by 3 scores. This doesn't need to be a close game, in my personal opinion. I need to go out there. Allen's got to play well, get the ball to Diggs early, run the ball with Singletary and Zach Moss, involve Dawson Knox, and overload the Jets. And don't let up. That's what I think the Bills need to do. If this is a close win for the Bills, as a Bills fan, I would be concerned by that.
Yeah, I like the Bills to win this game, certainly. I don't think the Jets are going to win, but I don't think they cover the 6.5. I think it's a closer game. If you look at Josh Allen in his career, since he's been in the league, he is last in the NFL amongst starters in completion percentage, passer rating, and touchdowns thrown. So they are doing this a lot based on coaching, good defense, and running the football. And so I think that lends this game to be a little bit closer. Now, I know they added Diggs, but, I mean, Josh Allen's not an accurate passer. I like Jamison Crowder today, fantasy-wise, in possible flex play. I do not like Le'Veon Bell at all. But I think the Jets keep it close. I think the Bills win late because they're much better coached and better situationally.
I actually love the Bills today. I mean, I think they just, like Brian said, I think they just pull away. I mean, they've given him Diggs now. I think Josh Allen is getting better every year. He should have a better year than he did last year. He's starting to make a little bit smarter decisions. They're running back is fine. Singletary is good. And then defense was top 5 last year, Buffalo. So I think the Jets are going to have all they can handle today, and Darnold's going to be running for his life. So, yeah, I like the Bills with the 6.5. I like it easily today. Easy bet.
Listen, nothing's ever won in week 1, to be honest with you. I mean, if the Bills go out there and win 50-0, they don't win the AFC East. Even if Miami wins the game over New England. So I'm not putting too much stock into this to the situation. I liked the Jets before all this madness happened. I thought there would be a team to rebound, but with CJ Mosley opting out and not much other offensive weapons around them, I don't see them really competing this year too hard. But all in all, this is still a division game. It's still early season. It's a beautiful day in Buffalo. So you don't have to worry about that kind of craziness. There's no home crowd. So like you said, I don't know if they're tailgating up there, putting people through chairs, tables, whatever they do up there, but it's not. So it's going to be easy. It's not going to be your typical game, but Buffalo should win this game just because they don't have a good defense. They have a great defense, and against a staggering offense, sputtering, despite whether you think Darnold's good or bad, they're just not a good offense. So Buffalo should dominate them on the ground. Josh Allen should use his legs. They have the 2 running backs, Zach Moss, that they really like, Devin Singletary, and I think they just roll over him and run through him, and a little bit too much for him. I think Bills will cover with probably like a 10-point victory. Over under, that number's so low, so they're trying to beg you to take the over, so I'll go under.
Last year, this game, week 1, they faced off last year. It was 17-16 Bills. The Jets were winning 16-0 in that one until Mosley got hurt. No Mosley, no Jamal Adams. But I just think this game's closer than people think. But I like the Bills to win it. 7-6 last year, the Jets were with Darnold.
Yeah. And we were there for one of them, Brian. So.
Yeah, I know. I remember that vividly. Unfortunately for him and you. Next up, the Infirmary from Philadelphia is moving down to Washington with 7 projected starters going to miss this game for the Eagles. They are still laying 6 points.
That's crazy.
Debut of the Washington football team. Okay. Over-unders 42.5. Miles Sanders out for this game. Lane Johnson out for this game. Javon Hargrave out for this game. Bunch of guys out for this game. But the line is still that 5.5 to 6 area, possibly because Washington's quarterback is Dwayne Haskins, and he's not very good at pro football. But I think there's going to be some issues here for the Eagles on the offensive line, because one thing Washington does have is a pass rush, and with Lane Johnson out, Brooks out, and Jason Peters is like 95 years old, I think there's going to be a bit of an issue there keeping Carson upright. I think this is going to be a game where he's got to move around a little more than maybe he would like to. I mean, he that's what he was before the injuries. Then he kind of, pared that down as he rightfully should. But you're missing Miles Sanders as well. I expect the game out of Boston Scott, but it's your team, Brandon, so I'll give you the floor here. You concerned?
Yeah, well, earlier in the week, prior to all of these injuries, and the Eagles have been lying to us about injuries now for 4 years, and they lied to us with Miles Sanders and Lane Johnson, made it seem like they were going to play, and they're not. I was thinking they were going to cover. I thought they were going to score in the 30s. I don't see either of those two things happening now. I actually think the Eagles struggle very much so early in this game. I think they're losing late in this game, and I think the quarterback brings them back and they win narrowly.
And that quarterback's name is?
That would be Carson Wentz, whose hat I am currently wearing.
Not Jalen?
He's actually inactive. Hurts is inactive today.
Yeah, good.
Which is funny because we all said that. Like, you draft a kid, he's not going to be your backup quarterback week 1. He's going to hold a clipboard.
Yeah, it's just absolutely ridiculous. I love Boston Scott today. I think the Eagles win, but I think this is a real struggle early in this game. Now, defensively last year, Terry McLaurin killed them. You got Darius Slay there this year. So I do think they keep him in check. And beyond that, there's nothing there in Washington offensively. But, I mean, I don't think the Eagles are going to be able to score early. I really don't. I think it's going to be a struggle keeping Wentz upright. Chase Young, Ryan Kerrigan, Montez Sweat, I think they're going to get after him. But I like the Eagles in the end to win just because of the quarterback. I mean,
Brandon,
really...
real quick, I just want to, before I go to the other guys, a couple of things. Rookie Jack Driscoll starts at right tackle, Nate Herbig at right guard. So Eagles very experienced on the right side of the line. And there's a report that Zach Ertz and Howie Roseman got into a heated argument this week at Eagles practice. My guess is that's contract related. Just snap judgment reaction to that.
Well, I think Zach Ertz thinks he's Travis Kelce, George Kittle money area, and I don't think he's that. Howie Roseman doesn't think he's that. They have Dallas Goedert. There's a reason they drafted Dallas Goedert. He's younger. He'll be cheaper. He's more athletic. He's bigger. He's faster. He's stronger. He's a better blocker. He's better after the catch. I'm not saying Dallas Goedert today is a better player than Zach Ertz, but Dallas Goedert has more tools, and I think that Goedert is a very good player. And I think Ertz is asking too much from this team and a team that's cap strapped, and I don't think they should sign him. And I think they need to look to trade him at the end of the year.
Brandon, in regards to the Zach Ertz situation, I think this is a deal that should have been done before before this season started, and you either have to give him a contract or you have to get him off the team, because this, as you see, is going to be a festering boil on the side of the Eagles all season as long as it continues. Because the one thing that you've seen past in the Eagles, especially with guys like Alshon Jeffrey and them, is there's not a ton of leadership. Malcolm Jenkins isn't there anymore.
We couldn't go one show without hearing Alshon Jeffrey's name. Oh, it's sick.
No,
Sorry,
no.
every week now.
No, but there's a thing like Carson Wentz hasn't really shown that leadership, ability either. So there's been a lot of backlash and murmuring in that locker room about him. So like this just adds another thorn to that, kind of, sensitive bubble there. So they should either traded him or signed him. And you're saying that he might not have the talent as Ertz and Kittles, and I agree with you on that point. But if I'm Zach Ertz, I'm not Ertz, Kelsey and Kittles. If I'm Zach Ertz, I go into the locker room, I show my numbers. Numbers speak volumes, and he's put up some of the best numbers of tight end in the last 5 years. So
I think the numbers are a result of opportunity, which comes from a lack of other weapons that are on the team. And I think a lot of it is just a volume of him getting targets because there's been nothing else on the outside.
You're right, but that does. If I'm Zach Ertz, that doesn't go into my negotiation.
Oh, I know.
I was there when you needed everybody else, and that's where I come from.
But you have an Eagles team that is a ridiculous amount of money over next year's cap. Might even cost him Fletcher Cox, right? Like at some point, like you can't pay people for what they've already done for you. And it's a salary cap league. So the idea that you put a second-round pick into Dallas Goedert, which is a very valuable pick, despite the fact that you use it on backup quarterback right now, a very valuable pick, and then you're going to tell me that at this point in Ertz's career, you're going to extend him for $15 million a season? That's certifiably insane. And he's been their biggest trade chip for a while because of the fact that Goddard's behind him. So to me, if I'm looking to, maybe get a 2 back, and I'm okay with that because I'm not going to sign the guy, and I have money to go do other things. Me personally, I would have moved him. And you can't just nostalgia all the time. Yeah, they won a Super Bowl. Wonderful. That's a couple years ago now. Mm-hmm. So you continue to pay guys on what they've done for you, not what they're going to do, and it's cap hell, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you guys more with the Ertz thing. I thought they could have got rid of him last year or the year before and got something for him. I mean, now you're rolling to the last year, and like Tony said, now it's going to be a little bit of a distraction now with these outbursts and stuff. And I think you got to, like they say, shit or get off the pot. I mean, you got to either sign this guy or you got to get rid of him and just move on from it. As for the game, I still think it's going to be, that kind of game because we've seen this kind of Eagles team in the past that have been down weapons and this and that, and they still managed to put points up on the board. I'm not saying Boston Scott's going to go nuts today, but I mean, the Washington football team isn't exactly, a Super Bowl caliber team either. I think the over could happen today. I believe it or not. I think both teams are going to be able to get some points up, field goals, touchdowns, whatever the case may be. This could be an ugly game, could be a sloppy game, but I do like Washington with the 6 points. I just think under the circumstances with the Eagles, all these injuries they have, the Carson Wentz factor, keeping him upright, I think it's going to be just a kind of a crappy game today, and I think it's going to be a close game. I mean, I think Philadelphia still wins the game by maybe a field goal, but it's going to come down to the wire.
I would be remiss, being that it is the Eagles opener, if I didn't share one of the greatest moments in social media history with our fans.
Over there in Minnesota, guys. That's right. E-A-G-L-E-L, Eagles, baby.
And when you can't spell that's the one word that they should be able to spell.
Going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with Ertz too is when you talk about these outbursts, you're looking at him decreasing his own value for the Eagles. Yeah. And you've seen this time and time again in the NFL that some of these NFL trades and what they're getting back from, it kind of scratches your head, because you're like, wow, this guy went for a freaking 5th round pick. So you're talking about a 2nd round pick. If it's not the right team, they might not even get that for him. So as far as the game, I expect to over 42.5 because I think it might just be a little bit sloppy game, and both teams have playmakers. Yeah. With McLaren and Deshaun Watson and not Deshaun Watson, Deshaun Jackson. But as far as Eagles fans, this is a game that you better hope Boston Scott or whoever else is in the backfield gets over. They should run the ball over 30 times because with that offensive line in week 1, you don't want, somebody like Chase Young drilling Carson Wentz into the turf. And next thing you know, you have Nate Sudfeld, playing for the next 3 weeks. So, I mean, this is a game where I'd try to protect him at all costs. We used the hell out of Goddard and Ertz and the running backs.
See, I think, Tony, getting back to your point, I know they got to run Boston Scott, like you said, but I think if Washington, you look at that defense, the only thing that really scares you a little bit is that D-line. I mean, that D-line is loaded.
But that's fine. I'd rather have an ineffective running game and a Carson Wentz for the next, how many weeks he stays healthy than worrying about having, an explosive outburst.
Yeah, no, I agree with it. They're going to have to keep Carson upright because he's going to be running for his life today because with our injuries and that line being depleted like it is, the one thing that Washington has going for them is they have a defensive line that can get after the quarterback. So that's going to be interesting to see how that all works out today. So this game's going to be, like I said, sloppy with no preseason.
My call here has absolutely nothing to do with the Eagles. Everything to do with I think Washington stinks.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely horrible.
So it's not a matter of do I think listen, offensively, we talk about Terry McLaurin, but Terry McLaurin last year wasn't getting the ball thrown by Dwayne Haskins to start the year either. So pump those brakes a little bit on that one. I mean, I like him, but again, receivers are a function of your quarterback. The Eagles win the game. Do they cover? I don't know. They're going to win the game though.
To your point about McLaurin, though, Week 15 against the Eagles, he did have a huge day. McLaurin did. So, I mean, we've seen him with Haskins have success against the Eagles.
Right, and you got Gibson at running back. I mean, rookie kid coming in, he should be okay, but
they're going to play a bunch of running backs.
But I don't. That's the thing too. Everybody's got like a 6 to midnight for him, and it's like they had Bryce Love a year ago. Mm-hmm. Like it wasn't as if like there's not some other talent there. They let AP go with Darius Geis already gone, knowing that it wasn't just because they were going to just give the ball. That
was a mercy release, though. Peterson's release was kind of just like, okay, you know what, you're a Hall of Fame running back. You did a great job for us last year. He's been great in the locker room. Here's a mercy release. Now, why he signed with Detroit, I'm not 100% sure. I expected him to sign with somebody who was a little bit more plans for contention. But him getting out of Washington was in no way, shape, or form because of the strength of their backfield. It was more of a mercy killing or releasing, I guess you could say.
Next up,
no, I'm never picking a team that's quarterbacked by Dwayne Haskins to win a football game.
I can't. I'd rather be wrong. I'd feel dirty doing that. I think he's terrible. Last of the 1 p.m. games is another West Coast team coming east for 1 p.m. And that's Seattle Seahawks giving one, last I checked, to the Atlanta Falcons over under 49. This line was higher. I believe I saw it at 3 originally. So there might be some money coming in on Atlanta. This is going to be an interesting game, to say the very least, being that you got people they're on the Seattle train this year. It's going to be Jamal Adams' debut as a Seahawk. Josh Gordon's still suspended. Don't know what's going on there.
He's not reinstated yet. So
he is not. So, my inclination here is I think Atlanta might just win this game out. I mean, I like Atlanta outright at the 3. Now I think there's more money coming in on Atlanta. They're not going to have trouble scoring points. Seattle is not the Seattle that we remember them to be. The Seattle defense is very much like the Green Bay offense in that we remember what they used to be and assume that that's what they are now. And Atlanta can put up points. They added Todd Gurley, who I don't like, but you're giving him no money, so I'm fine with that. Ridley and Jones on the outside. Hayden Hurst is a guy who I think is going to do really well for tight end because they used Hooper like that last year. I think that he's more talented than Hooper was. It's just, can the defense stop anybody? And Tony, I mean, am I out of my mind thinking why is Atlanta not favored here?
It has me scratching my head a little bit there. Offensive firepower. I think the Jamal Adams signing right now is a little bit overrated at this point. I mean, he still has to, figure out what he's doing back there. But I mean, they gave up a lot for him, and I don't know if he makes an immediate impact against guys like Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley in that offense. So you're looking at, I don't know what that feedback is. You guys hear that?
Hmm?
It's not you.
I know.
A little bit of Brandon. That's all right. Brandon fixed it.
So yeah, I mean, listen, this is a line that scratches head. The over under 49 is high, but I think this is going to be one of the games that you truly see an offensive explosion. So I guess it was Brandon. I love Russell Wilson against that Atlanta defense. I mean, you're talking about 3-13 last year? Atlanta? I mean,
they were up there. No, wait a minute. No, because their pick was low, wasn't it? Their pick was
Yeah, it wasn't that bad, but that's right. They were horrible, but they have a ton of talent on offense. They don't have much on defense that's really going to get after Russell Wilson and these guys. So, I hit Russell Wilson's props pretty hard. I really like what he's going to do down there. But as far as the game, that line just makes you scratch your head. And
they were 7-9 last year, believe it or not.
Were they 7-9? Yeah, I know they struggled at points though. I'll go with Seattle, but I'm gonna actually lean to the over too. 28-27, 28-24, something like that.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing, Tony. I think it's going to be an over as well. I think both teams have some things to prove. And remember, Chris Carson got hurt a lot last year. He's going to be up for a contract year, like Brandon said. And guys, when they're up for a contract, they somehow flip the switch and just play out of their mind. So I think Chris Carson's going to have a real good year. You got guys like DK Metcalf in Seattle. You got Lockett. Their defense, I don't think is going to be that bad. It's going to be okay. And an Atlanta team, listen, that has fallen short a lot of these times. We always talk about Julio Jones. We talk about Calvin Ridley. We talk about Matt Ryan. And this team, consistently doesn't do what kind of talent they have. I mean, it is a head scratcher why Seattle's only given a point, but that's fine. I'll take Seattle. I'll give the point. And I think Seattle comes ahead. Pretty much they got to win the game. So, yeah, that's no problem. I think Seattle does win the game.
I think their talent issue and why they don't, because they're always imbalanced. When they have a solid defense years ago, then the offense doesn't match up.
Well, as a defensive coach, too, I think the defense could be better than it is. And that could be an issue, too, that they get into shootouts that they can't win.
Yeah, but I think it was what they want down there. As far as Arthur Blank is more concerned about the offensive shootouts and trying to keep that fan base interested in actually trying to put a winning product in there. Because if he was, Dan Quinn would not be the coach still.
And then the West Coast team coming in too, so it's interesting.
This needs to be his last opening week as Falcons coach. Brandon, you missed this game, so go ahead.
Yeah, I think Dan Quinn, I think he's only there because of the way they closed the season out last year. And I think the line is only what it is because of Russell Wilson and the Jamal Adams trade. So I think there's kind of a bit of a love affair there. And obviously everyone should love Russell Wilson. But that defense is not good. The offensive line is not good. Now they do get Chris Carson back. So the running game should be there. But I like Atlanta outright in this game. I actually have them +3. Which I think is a pretty good bet. I just think Atlanta, with the offensive weapons there, they're going to move the football and they're going to put up points against that really pretty bad defense. It's not a good defense. It hasn't been good for 4 or 5 years now, and that's really been an ignored point. There's a reason why they had to go out and really desperately trade for Jamal Adams. It's not a good defense.
They give up a lot to go get him. Yeah, I like Atlanta outright because if you look at their schedule, it's going to get ugly from here. I think they need a win. I think that they need the win more than Seattle does, and it's kind of weird because Seattle's in a dogfight for that division.
Yeah,
Brian, I just sent you something, Brian. Put that up when you get a chance. But yeah. Bill Belichick's having a heart attack now. But yeah, I mean Seattle, I think is going to be a Super Bowl contender, and is probably my one of my favorites to win the NFC West. So I mean, if they go in there and they have a clunker against Atlanta, it'd be a little shocking.
It's still a road game, though. It's still a 1:00 East Coast West Coast.
Exactly, but playing well. That's what I said. If they play well and lose a high score, a shootout or something like that, I can kind of see. But if they don't play well, I'd be surprised because although they don't have a ton of continuity on that defense.
So I'm going to go ahead and add this here. Somebody's making their debut, and it's just not. What are you going to say?
That screams Patriot football.
The hell is he holding?
Is that who I think it is?
It is.
Mike, that's your favorite player in the NFL.
The hell is he holding?
He looks like that movie, The Mask. Do you remember The Mask with Jim Carrey?
Absolutely.
Oh, my
Somebody
God.
stop me.
He's so worried about his fashion. Why don't he worry about playing football? There's an idea.
If you look at the comments, you got the man in the yellow hat with Curious George.
Jeez.
He looks like he's prepared for the game.
Yeah. He's wearing $4,000 outfit, and he's worried about playing football.
Probably more than that.
I don't know what that IG picture, iconic saga, is like, I don't know if that's his marketing brand or whatever, but man.
Ryan Leach, you want me to say it again? Cam stinks. Okay, and he can't dress either.
I think he's good today, though.
Paul Allen from Total Degenerates calling for a Chiefs Dallas Super Bowl. Obviously, I'd be perfectly fine with that.
He's from Total Degenerates now? Because you could have.
He is also a baseline jumper, but being the football officiating. To the 4:00 games, the Los Angeles Chargers -3 going to the Cincinnati Bengals over under 42. So much for Herbert versus Burrow. This will be a Tyrod Taylor start. I guess that's kind of expected. It will be a Joe Burrow start, though. And Tony, he's got a lot of receivers to throw to, and a running back just got a big check. So offensively, they're probably going to be okay.
Yeah, I think their offense, I mean, is going to be creative. I mean, it's an offense that he's comfortable with. He has a ton of weapons with A.J. Green coming back. Tyler Boyd was the last the receiver. And Joe Mixon is one of my favorite running backs in the NFL, despite his off-field escapades. And I like the Bengals in this game, to be honest with you. Even though I'm high on Tyrod Taylor and what he's going to be able to do early on in the season, there's not much of an offensive line left in the Chargers. I think they're missing 4 linemen, if I'm correct. That's going to be the strength now of the Cincinnati Bengals as they get their top offensive tackle pick from last year. So I'm expecting Cincinnati to win this at home. I'll take them with the points. And I think you're going to see, the Joe Burrow show, if they could stop Bosa and that defense and score some points, which I think they can. I'm going to go with the rookie to win his outing. And I also think that Joe Burrow has a huge year.
Yeah, I think Joe Burrow can have a good game as well. I mean, he's got to worry about Joey Bosa, but other than that, listen, AJ Green's still there. They still have Joe Mixon. They still have Giovanni Bernard. They still have some guys that can, make some plays and move this Bengals team down the field. Now they're going to be electric. No, I doubt it, but it's going to be a game where I think Joe Burrow really is going to have a good test, and I think he comes out on top because Tyrod Taylor, I think, stinks. He stinks as well, and I think we talked about it, Brian. I think they're in week 6 or 7. They go to the bye week. I think that's the time you're going to see Herbert in there. With the Chargers team getting acclimated to him, because I don't think Tyrod Taylor is going to take them anywhere. But yeah, I think a perfect spot for the Bengals. I think they get win 1 at home.
I like the Bengals to win as well. I think Burrow is going to be a very good pro. They have a ton of weapons in the Chargers with Tyrod Taylor. I just have a tough time picking Tyrod Taylor. Now, the concern for the Bengals would be the offensive line and Burrow running for his life, especially with that pass rush. But I think in the end, with Mixon and A.J. Green and Tyler Boyd and all the weapons that they have, I think in the end, I think Burrow gets his first win. I think it'll be one of few. I don't think they win a lot of games this year, just because the overall roster is not great. But I think today in the debut, I think they do win.
I think he may throw for 3 tubs. I just don't think that he's going to throw.
I don't know what the hell that was.
Pop up, sorry.
That's okay. It is. Again, I don't know what to make of the Chargers this year. The defense should be fine. They didn't really lose anybody of note there. So other than Derwin James, who really wasn't. It's not that much of a factor due to injury, unfortunately. I'm interested in this game to see what Burrow can do. I think it's interesting that it's a 4 p.m. game in Cincinnati. I think that's not an accident. And it's their defense that scares more than anything. I think Burrow will be fine eventually. I think this is a good start for him. Wouldn't shock me at all if the Bengals win this game. That's what my gut leans that. I would take the points if nothing else, probably by the hook too. But I really want to see what he does. And you can't game plan for rookie QB. So from a Chargers defensive standpoint, it's not like you have some tape on this kid with these people around him and how well he will do. So if he can get some protection, I think that they should, then I think I lean the Bengals.
Yeah.
So
it's not like either team is very good. I don't think either team is a playoff contender in the end. But I think Burrow makes this game exciting and watchable for me. I'm certainly interested in.
I got one for you. Who's a better shot to finish last in their division, the Bengals or the Chargers?
The Bengals, because that's a very good division, and I think the Raiders are finished last in the West.
What was the question, Brian? Who's going to finish last in their division?
Who's more likely to finish last in their division?
Well, I think it's definitely the Bengals because I think that the Browns do improve that shit show that they have going on, but at the same time, they might have similar records though. You know.
I got a question coming in from the OTB watch party from Willie Rosado. Parker or Judy as a flex today?
Chill Will, what's up, buddy? Parker or Judy in the flex? That's a tough one. I'm gonna have to go with the steadiness of Parker. I know he has a tough matchup against Stephon Gilmore. I'm not ready to throw out a rookie running receiver out there yet. There's always questions with them.
Would you play Lamb tonight?
I mean, not willingly, but if I had another option,
Lamb or Anthony Miller?
Ooh, Lamb or Anthony Miller. Whew, that is a tough question right there.
That's the decision I have to make if I want to.
What league is this?
I think Gallup's the guy to own that offense today.
I'm leaning Miller until I see what they do with Lamb. I'm already starting Cooper. I didn't really like it, but it is what it is. You can't not start a guy you take there early.
I would lead Lamb just because of the offense that he's in. I think it's going to be that game's going to be a higher scoring game, and I don't trust Mr. Trubisky to save my life. So not Allen Robinson over Lamb, yes, but another receiver in that offense against him, no.
How about Marvin Jones or Deontay Johnson? Who would you guys go with there?
I would go Jones today for sure. He's the top target.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think that's just another case of volume, and he's always been solid, you know.
Especially with Galletta out too, right?
Yeah,
that's a huge reason why. NFC West battle, the Arizona Cardinals, a popular pick to maybe do something this year with their young quarterback and a new toy to choose to throw to. Visit the defending NFC champion 49ers, -6.5. Over under is 48. This is not probably the best matchup if you're a Cardinal fan to get started with. The Niners defense should be pretty damn good. But Quigley, what do you expect from DeAndre Hopkins making his debut with a fat check that he just got?
What do I expect about DeAndre Hopkins? You know what? I mean, he does draw Sherman. He draws difficult defense. I think this is more about Kyler Murray and what, his growth than actual just on DeAndre Hopkins because, playing receiver myself, it's an ancillary position where you're depending a lot on targets and stuff like that. It's still a very solid offense in Arizona too, with guys like Christian Kirk, who Murray has a great relationship with, and Fitzgerald's going to be there, as a threat too. You have your Kenyon Drake, Chase Edmonds backfield back there. So I don't think this offense is going to solely rely on the DeAndre Hopkins like it did in Houston. But how do you say DeAndre Hopkins isn't going to be effective? I mean, he's just a stud. You throw the ball up, he's going to get it. Sherman doesn't have the speed to keep up with him. He doesn't have I don't even know really if he has the ball skills to fight with him. And I don't even know at this point if that's going to be the defensive strategy for the 49ers is to shadow Sherman with Hopkins, which might not be. So they might be rolling safeties over and linebackers under and really trying to make his life hell and have Murray. Now the continuity part, I think, might be a question, but if you're worrying about DeAndre Hopkins, you can't because he's just such a stud. Mm-hmm. Talent is just too big.
Yeah, I think like Tony, you got to get a safety to help out on if you're going to put Sherman on that side. I don't know if you even will, but they're going to have to do something for DeAndre Hopkins because he's going to cause some havoc back there. But in the way of Kenyon Drake, I think San Francisco can slow him down. Kyler Murray, the second-year deal, I think he does take a step back. Is it going to be horrible? No, but I don't think he's going to have the year he did last year. Listen, San Francisco is still a pretty good team defensively, obviously. They did have some injuries on offense, but still, I think they're going to be good at home. It's going to be interesting to see how that backfield makes out without Breida. I know he was the third kind of rotated back in there, but Mostert's the man now. Let's see what he can do. I think Garoppolo is still good. He's still got some guys that can catch the ball, especially George Kittle. I think San Fran covers as much as that line is high. I think for an Arizona team that has some weapons with DeAndre Hopkins now, I think it's a telltale sign. I think the 49ers win this game. They I don't know if they win it going away. They probably win by a touchdown or 10 points, but I think they can cover that 6.5.
I think it's hard to say Murray declines because it's the same offense as last year, plus you added DeAndre Hopkins to it.
Yeah, but you do have tape on him now. You do have tape, and he has to. Second-year quarterbacks have to adjust when a lot of teams get tape on them, and that's the thing. If guys adjust to it, they're going to go back a little bit. But if they don't, they're in a bad year.
Who are you game planning for defensively last year? Christian Kirk, because he's now the number 2. Larry Fitzgerald's 100 years old. Like,
right.
You have a legitimate.
But when you get a kind of a rookie quarterback in there, you don't really have a lot of stuff on him and his tendencies, what he's going to do. Now that they saw last year, usually second-year quarterbacks you kind of see and you pick up. I'm not saying it's going to be a huge drop-off for him, but you're going to see, I think, a little bit of take a step back for him. And then, the following year he makes adjustments, he moves forward again. But I think this year he just takes a little bit of a step back where he makes some big adjustments. It's going to be an issue for him.
Yeah.
Real quick, I want to touch on Kyle Murray, Brandon. The problem with that, him taking a step back, is he's shown that he still has a ton of improvement to go. So it's not like he was lights out.
Right.
Someone like Lamar Jackson, who you also said was going to take a step back,
right?
MVP of the league. I mean, Murray has a ton of improvement to do. I mean, he held the ball too long. His skids pass. I mean, so. I think that he has a big step up. Maybe not as expected, but I definitely think he's a quarterback that does improve.
I'll just say this last thing, Tony. I just think that maybe like some of the stuff he did well last year, maybe they see they can not expose, but they can capitalize on him and slow that down. So are you going to see like a big drop off where he's going to be terrible? No, not at all. But I think that some of the stuff he did last year, teams might kind of expect or maybe predict and slow some of that stuff down. That's all I'm saying, because they have more film on them now. They see tendencies now that they can capitalize on. That's all.
Yeah, I actually have Kyler Murray as a dark horse for the MVP, and I like the Cardinals actually in an upset in this game because I don't trust the 49ers offensively at all. With Jimmy Garoppolo, no Deebo Samuel, there's really not a wide receiver there. And last year against the 49ers, Kyler Murray averaged 25 fantasy points per. He played very well last season against the Niners, very well, and that was without DeAndre Hopkins. I like the Cardinals to upset this game. I like them to win. I think Kyler Murray has a huge game, and I think George Kittle plays well because I think he's the only guy there. So if you're in fantasy and, the Cardinals last year were the worst team in the NFL at defending the tight end. I do think that continues today because they're playing against George Kittle. But I like the Cardinals.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tight.
Brandon, you bring up last year, but they still lost both those games to the 49ers.
Yeah. But
played well.
I mean, you add DeAndre Hopkins, and I don't think the Niners got better. Who's their second?
All right, but here's the problem with this. All right, big timeout. Arizona's defense is fucking horrible.
Their linebacking core is terrible for Kittle. So
they're dreadful. That Arizona defense is awful. 49ers should run through them. Isaiah Simmons is really the biggest improvement they had. He's going to play all over the field and in the Viper position and everything else that you have on in that defense. But their defense is just horrible. And whatever you think about Jimmy Garoppolo is one thing, but at the same time, this is a team that played in the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like a slouch. And I think that they're taking a lot of shots for whatever reason, just because Garoppolo might have missed a few throws that he should have made in the Super Bowl. I don't see them stopping this 49ers team on defense.
I mean, Mike talked about regression. I think the regression in this game is with the 49ers. I don't think they're the same team. The defense isn't as good. They don't have a second corner. They can't even figure that out. They don't have a wide receiver. I mean, they don't have one. They don't have one wide receiver. And they have a quarterback who I think benefits largely from having weapons, having an offense that you've never seen before. You never saw that offense last year with Garoppolo and with that team. And I think with a year of film, I don't think the run game's the same. Because of the reason, like I said, you have a whole year of film on it, and I think the Cardinals' offense is explosive.
The last of the 4 p.m. games is in the NFC South. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a new quarterback you may have heard of. Visit the New Orleans Saints -3.5, over-under 47.5. Today represents the first time since 2015 that a team led by Tom Brady is an underdog. Brady's team has been favored in 74 consecutive regular season games until today. Michael, this is your team. You are you got a little bit of an erection right now. It might not be fully there yet because it's not until 4 o'clock, but it's getting there. your mindset right now with Mike Evans potentially as a decoy more than anything else?
Yeah, I think that kind of hurts them a little bit because you're going to need all the firepower you get against a New Orleans team that's home. And I still think wins the division this year. As much as I love Tampa and they've improved and they're really making a serious run, I still think the Saints win the division. Mike Evans, I mean, if he does play today, which I think if he's even a little bit hurt, maybe you rest him for next week because there's a guy you don't want to lose for a long period of time. If he does get in, he's going to play a small count. You're definitely going to have to rely on Godwin today, maybe Gronk and Cameron Brate a little bit more. Listen, it's going to be tough for the Bucs. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think New Orleans still brings a lot at you. Kamara, they bring Michael Thomas, one of the best guys in the league, reception record last year. This is going to be, I think, a really good game at 4:00 to see what Tampa can do. As long as they can keep Tom Brady upright, I think this team can move the ball, and they're going to have a lot of good positive things going on. I just think it's going to be a tough game today, especially with a low count with Evans. I got the Saints winning this game, not by much, but I think they can cover that 3 and a hook. I think Tampa gets off to a real good start. It's going to be a tough game for them, but they're going to battle with them all year long. And listen, if they lose to the Saints, I don't think it's a total tragedy, especially in New Orleans. But high scoring game. I think the Bucs come up a little short though.
Yeah, I think you bet against Tom Brady at your own leisure and at your own risk. I would not recommend doing it, and I wouldn't do it here. At 3.5 is a lot. I mean, you got to lose by 4. And the Bucs defense last year, the last quarter of the season with Todd Bowles, was number 1 in the NFL. And yeah, you had all those weapons with Tom. It's a team that really just needed efficiency from the quarterback position. I mean, Jameis Winston had 30 touchdowns, 5,000 yards, but the problem was he had 40 turnovers. Tom's going to have a quarter of that, if that. So I mean, I like the Buccaneers here outright, and certainly with those points plus 3.5, I'd be all over Tampa Bay. And I think Tom has something to prove. I mean, I know mentioned quarterbacks have something to prove. Tom feels like he has something to prove. He feels like he was disrespected by New England. Feels like people have given up on him, and he's going to go out today. And I think he has a great debut in Tampa Bay, and I think they win. And it's like playing practice, a scrimmage for him. I mean, there's no fans in the Superdome, so it's really not even a away game. You just have to travel, and it's like practice for him. He walks up the line, sees what he has to go against, and is able to just pick them apart. I like Tampa Bay.
I'm taking the New Orleans because, Brandon, you talk about Tampa Bay and them having something to prove, and Brady has something to prove. And I think you're right. But, all offseason, New Orleans, who won the division, another heartbreaking playoff loss that they should have won, has had to sit back and listen about Tampa Bay this, Tampa Bay that, everybody picking Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay. You're New Orleans. It's a home game. You still have Drew Brees, okay? You still have Alvin Kamara. You still have Michael Thomas. And I like New Orleans to win this game. I think that it's going to be a shootout. I'm not laying any points or anything like that, but I will take the over. The continuity and everything, I think, and a little chip on the shoulder, the Saints should have something to prove. This has all been bulletin board material for the Saints all season. And a prominent scout and GM for one of the teams that actually was named, they said this is more like Jordan coming to the Wizards than it is, Jordan on the Bulls when talking about Tom Brady. So he does have a lot to prove, but you know what? So do the Saints.
It was 2 years ago in Week 1 that the Bucs went into New Orleans and won 48-44 on the arm of Fitzmagic, and it cost me my survivor pool that year immediately. The problem that I think that Tampa's going to run into here is, while it's true that I don't really think the Saints have a second receiver, I am not an Emmanuel Sanders guy. I mean, Michael Thomas is fantastic, but as Mike has said on this show, probably, I don't know, a dozen times, they had no secondary, and they weren't active to go get somebody to play in their secondary. So Michael Thomas should have a field day. And if Michael Thomas has a field day, if he's able to go get open and they have to start, pushing guys that way, let's go open up Kamara. We want to open up Jared Cook. I mean, the problem is Tampa Bay defensively here. And at the end of the day, it's hard for me to take the Bucs to win this game, knowing, in all likelihood, that Mike Evans is nothing more than a body. Like, I throw him the ball. They're not at their full complement. There's no real major injuries on the Saints. I think the Saints win the game. I think the Saints cover the points. If I'm betting the Saints, I would try to buy the hook down just as a safety precaution. But I do think that – go ahead.
I love that you're saying buying the hook down, because I just had the same conversation Friday night. I lost 3 bets by the hook. 3. Two NBA bets, 1 college bets. And I told the guy I was talking about, I was like, listen, I said, I don't know why I didn't buy the hook. Some props you can't buy the hooks, but it's just infuriating when you have a 3-team parlay that all missed by the hook. And, buy the hook. If it's cheap enough, buy the hook. Yeah. That little juice is going to be worth the squeeze.
150%. But again, I think if Evans was playing, I might think differently, but we're not going to see the Bucs at their full capability, on top of the fact that the running backs aren't even accustomed to the offense yet. This is going to be Ronald Jones' first game in this new offense. He'll probably be okay. I am not starting him today in fantasy. You don't know what the heck you're going to get out of Leonard Fournette. I'm not expecting a lot, at least not right now. So –
and you got LaShawn McCoy. How many carries is he going to get?
Vaughn. I mean, you got a bunch of guys, but nobody who I can say, like, yeah, he's got a really good game today. So because of all those factors, it's not even a shot at Tampa Bay. It's just they're not healthy right now. So they're not full capacity right now. I think the Saints win the game. I think the Saints cover the game. It is in the Dome. I want to see what the Dome is in silence. It's going to be very interesting. I do lean that direction. Sunday night, it is the opening of SoFi Stadium with nobody in it, as the Cowboys are giving 2 points to the Los Angeles Rams. FanDuel, guys, FanDuel's doing this thing where you can – I think the Rams are up to plus 12 on a $50 bet, and it continues to go higher and higher. So depending how your days go, maybe you want to take the Rams plus possibly 16. I don't know what it's going to be by then. But today marks the first time since Sunday, January 3rd of 2010, that the Dallas Cowboys will enter a regular season game without that flaming piece of shit as their head coach.
6-12.
I am so happy about that. I am so happy about that.
I like how you celebrated that by clapping.
Yeah, do more of this. Piece of.
He's the Giants' problem.
And the Rams. And the Rams spending some money and locking up your boy.
You know what's funny about that, Mike? And I'm glad you brought that up. Don't these people ever learn? They're in so much dead cap with Cooks and Gurley. Fill it up again.
Well, did you see the tweet about the money?
No.
I think it was Jalen Ramsey was a big sign, but they did sign also Cooper Kupp, my little Cup, Yeah. And then Jalen Ramsey tweets out that they're playing Madden without salary cap on, which maybe will be great in the video game world, but you know what? Eventually it does come bite you in the ass.
And we don't have to go deep into it because I know we got to get to the game. But, the whole thing with Ramsey, I think they thought that they had to sign him because they gave up so much to get him. If they let him get out of town, then, that's another egg on their face. It probably would be the right move to let him go and not spend that money on him and go somewhere else. But at this point, you got to lock a guy like that up, considering what you gave up for him to bring him in.
Which is why I said the play was to trade him to recoup that one, because I don't think the Rams are a playoff team this year. Does anybody on the panel think that they are?
No.
You think they are a playoff team?
I do. I think the offense is too good. And I don't think the 49ers are a playoff team.
I don't think Cooper Kupp could do it by himself, though.
The offense better than last year?
Well, Robert Woods is a stud, too.
The offense is better than last year. I mean, you have Robert Woods, Cooper
Higbee.
Kupp, Higbee, and you bring in Cam Akers, who I know he's replacing Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley was a distraction for the Rams last year, whether with the carries, with the injuries, with the contract. I mean, I think it makes it easier for Sean McVay to call plays now. He doesn't have to worry about Todd Gurley bitching and moaning about getting the ball.
Yeah.
I think he's able to be more of himself with that team running 2 receivers.
I don't think McVay really pandered that too much. I mean, it was more noise by Gurley. I mean, they're still going to be a RBBC strong this year. I don't think McVay really should have. But listen, the Rams think that they're a win now team. They're all in. So, and we talked about the Ramsey move before on our preview, is that they kind of had to re-sign him because they already had so much invested in getting him there. I expect the Rams to be fighting for a playoff spot, but I don't know exactly if they are a playoff spot.
Yeah, I think you go from a running back like Todd Gurley, who's kind of a hard runner, north-south, to a guy who's like Cam Akers to a scat back. And I think that's going to be interesting to see that.
Well, they have Malcolm. They're running Malcolm Brown, who's expected to start. They have Darrell Henderson Jr. They're not just going, okay, here we got rid of Gurley. Now what do we do in the backfield? They have tons of options, and it wasn't like anybody was worried about Todd Gurley last year anyway.
Right. You still have Woods.
You
still have Woods. You still have Cooper Kupp. If they can, stay healthy, this team can still throw the ball through the air. And I think Goff can have a good year as well. But I think
that's the problem, though. You just named the problem. They can stay healthy. They have all these weapons. Now they have Jared Goff.
I just think the Cowboys. I mean, the Cowboys with CeeDee Lamb and Zeke and the weapons they have now. I think they're poised for a good year too. I think they win a division. I don't know if they can make a Super Bowl run. They probably are one of the better teams in the NFC, and I think perfect setup for them on Sunday Night Football to open the season. I think they can beat the Rams, and they will beat the Rams. I think the Rams are okay. I don't know if they'll be battling for a playoff spot, but I just think the Cowboys are better set up for them to beat a team like the Rams.
Hold on, real quick. Breaking news. The Patriots were floating Stephon Gilmore's name prior to the draft in trade talks.
Sure. You should always be doing that.
Yep.
Everyone should always be available.
Makes your team better.
In general speaking. We said a lot about the Rams. Again, listen, I think this Cowboys team has had one of the top 5 rosters in the league for quite a while now, but they've been led by a complete imbecile. And the imbecile's gone. And I think that's going to be a big difference. And I think if you're Mike McCarthy, you want to put your stamp on this team right away. I think what hurts McCarthy is that they haven't really had the traditional training camp with the preseason to install the offense that you want. And that is a valid concern. There is continuity on the Rams side of things. It is an advantage for them. But I think they're going to run the ball like they do. I think Dak's playing for a contract, which is not a bad thing. And we hope it doesn't really get in Dallas, but neither here nor there. I'm interested to see what they do through the passing game. Again, I'm starting Amari Cooper in fantasy. I am not in love with that, but it is what it is. I think Reigns is going to be all over him. We'll see what Lamb does. I like Jarwin this year as a much better pass-catching tight end than Jason Witten used to be. Gallup should be better than he was last year. The defense, again, I want to see what they do with this Mike Nolan defense. Again, I think they're transitioning to a 3-4. The linebackers are fine. Trayvon Diggs, I think, has a legitimate shot to be up there in the defensive rookies that we're talking about at the end of the year, who's going to have a very, very good year. I love where they got him. Potentially first-round pick. They got him in round 2. I love that. There's not a lot that I don't like about this team right now, and I'm going to just make the assumption, knowing them and having seen them, that the biggest problem that they had got fired.
Absolutely. Agreed.
So the line, I actually had the line at Dallas -3, and with that, I like the Rams, but I think Dallas wins. But I think it's a very close game. I think it's a shootout. I like both offenses here. I think early you might see
over under too.
Yeah, you might see some sloppy play early with Dallas, especially with the new coach. But I think in the end, I think it's a close game. I think Dallas wins by a point or two. I think it's a very close game, but it's high scoring, like a 31-30 type game. That's what I foresee happening, and so I bet the Rams +3, but Dallas wins.
We all on the same board? Cowboys win and cover, or Cowboys win at least?
Yep.
Season always starts with 2 games on Monday night. It is no different this year. The Pittsburgh Steelers, with their quarterback finally back in the saddle again, Ben Roethlisberger, -6 at the Giants, over under 46. Teams that very interesting storylines from a Pittsburgh standpoint. The defense was excellent last year. They just got nothing offensively. So I'm going to make the safe assumption we're going to get something offensively because Ben Roethlisberger is still Ben Roethlisberger with weapons. I think Pittsburgh's a playoff team. The Giants, not so much, although I do think they take a step forward because I think they're finally getting some of the pieces around, or at least your core pieces from that standpoint. I love James Conner this year. Everything out of Mike Tomlin's mouth is that they're going to use James Conner as a feature back, as a bell cow back, which if you probably got him in that 3rd round-ish in your draft, you're probably pretty happy about.
Until he gets hurt.
Well, that's not so with anybody, I guess.
Hey, quick question. You go Roethlisberger or Brady today?
Roethlisberger.
The Giants' defense is trash.
Yep.
It is, especially in the secondary. They will get thrown on.
Like that is questionable too. So
Brady, it's still first game in a new environment. Like I don't really love that. So I mean, I think I'm better. Ben won't kill you. He might be a couple points less than Tom at maybe, but he won't kill you. I don't think it's going to be that huge of a difference.
Probably a safer pick to be around the 20-point mark than Brady would, because they could run a couple lands, 4-man in those backs.
Brandon, this team's always has we're always looking for the next Martavis Bryant with this team, like a guy who can be a number 2 receiver that can actually, do what Brian did when Brown was on the other side. We thought we had that with Juju until Juju became the one. So now you have Deontay Johnson, you have James Washington, Chase Claypool was a popular name, the draft pick this year out of Notre Dame. I don't think there's a lot to dislike about their offense. I like adding Ebron as well as a big tight end target.
He's looked good too.
Did look good.
I think he's the number 2.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, you mentioned number 2. I think Ebron is the number 2 in terms of red zone production and the third downs. Ben can be more efficient, doesn't have to, getting the ball down the field, holding onto the ball, potentially getting injured. The longer you hold the ball, the more hits you're going to take. I like the Ebron signing. I think Juju has a big year. I do think they run the ball. They kind of got away from running the ball. They became a Juju and Antonio Brown offense where they throw it a ton. I think they get more towards, being more balanced this year. I like Pittsburgh a lot this year. I love that defense. You play good defense, run the football, throw it when you need to. Ben, don't make mistakes. I like Pittsburgh to win this game. I like them to cover easily. I think this is a two-score win for Pittsburgh.
Tony?
Yeah, I think the same thing. I think that Pittsburgh is a team that pretty much has everything. And you're talking about Connors a little bit. You still have Benny Snell and McFarland back there, so they do have a nice complementary backfield to actually lean on that running game and not force Ben to win games for him. And I think Ben, with that defense, isn't going to be making the mistakes as the quarterbacks. Because I'm not a huge fan of Mike Tomlin before last season, but he did a hell of a job with that quarterback. So Pittsburgh wins big.
Mike?
I agree. Pittsburgh wins big. Nothing more to be said. You guys said it all. Pittsburgh rolls in this game. I think the Giants defense stinks. And even though Danny Dimes, I think, is going to have a better year than he did last year, they're just not up to the test to face this defense, who was a solid defense last year with did I mention Minkah Fitzpatrick? In the secondary back there. So, I think Pittsburgh rolls in this game.
Last but not least, we'll get you out of here before the 1 p.m. game start is the last Monday night game. Tennessee -3 visiting Denver, over under 40.5. Cortland Sutton may or may not play in this game. Be aware of that. Denver is a sexy pick to do something because I think people like Drew Lock and they like all these receivers and all this offensive talent that Denver's building around him. The draft pick of Judy, the draft pick of KJ Hamler, Noah Fant expected to have a little bit of a bump up in his second year. Added Melvin Gordon, not really sure why because they had a running game and they were fine. But Tennessee did sign Derrick Henry. They signed Ryan Tannehill. I'm not a huge fan of that, but it is what it is. Interesting game here. I don't really know which way I kind of lean on this. I might lean Denver because it's at home, and they're going to miss Von Miller, so that's fair. It's a tough game for me. I will lean the Broncos at home.
Yeah, I lean Broncos slightly. I think it's a good game. I think Derrick Henry has a good night without Von Miller. Bradley Chubb as well might be out. So I think, up front, the Broncos will struggle defensively. They lost Chris Harris as well. So, there's some holes on that defense. But I think with Drew Lock and Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant, who's a tight end I like, Gordon, Lindsey, I think there's too many weapons in the end. And I think the Broncos win narrowly in Arrowhead, mostly because they're in Arrowhead. Or not Arrowhead, I'm sorry, Mile High. Yeah.
Quig?
Until somebody stops Derrick Henry and a team could prove that they can stop Derrick Henry and this play action of Tannehill, I'm going with the Tennessee Titans. They lost. I don't think Chubb's playing. I believe Von Miller pretty much is the heart and soul of that defense. I think that's a big blow to them. Early on right now, I'm taking Tennessee on the road. And listen, primetime road dog, primetime home dog is a strong trend to bet, and so that game shows that Denver should at least cover, but so the game should be competitive. But Drew Lock's gonna have to show me a lot more before I have him beating a playoff team, and a team that could beat up teams like Tennessee.
Monday night opener for Drew Lock against this defense is a recipe for disaster. I think Tennessee's got a really good defense. They're kind of underspoken. Not a lot of teams talk about them, but it's a very good defensive team. And like Tony said, you want to be the man. You got to stop, Derrick Henry, and not a lot of teams can do that right now. I think Derrick Henry has a big day. And yeah, I like Tennessee in this game.
And that gets us through week 1. We will give a shout out to Crowd Play. I love those guys. Check out the app. We'll be back with the full schedule of shows this week. So check out our website. Give us a like on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Follow us Outside the Box in our sports discussion group. Want to get you out of here before the kickoff. Enjoy week 1. Football is back.
Thank you for watching the Sports Box. Follow us on Facebook at Sports Box Show, Twitter at Sports Box Show, Instagram at The Sports Box Show. Find us on YouTube and join Outside the Box, our Facebook sports discussion group. The Sports Box is brought to you by our friends at Crowd Play. Download the free Crowd Play app today and use promo code THEBOX at sign up for 10 points. See you next time.